looking at the car and the cyclist on my right, covering my brakes.
On Your Bike, in association with Safer Roads Humber, taking cycle safety seriously.
This time I'm exploring the delights of Grimsby and Cleethorpes. My first port of call is Grimsby, a seaport town with a strong maritime history. The demand for fishing Grimsby grew to such an extent that, at its peak in the 1950s, it laid claim to be the largest fishing port in the world. The town was previously known as Great Grimsby, to distinguish it from Little Grimsby, which was a village roughly 14 miles to the south near Louth. Now, history tells us that Grimsby was founded by Grim, a Danish fisherman, and Grimsby was settled by Danes in the 9th century AD. The name Grimsby originates from Grimsby, derived from the name Grim, the Danish Viking, and the suffix by being the Old Norse word for village. Grimsby has some landmarks of significant importance, the Grimsby Dock Tower being one of them. It's a hydraulic accumulator tower with the purpose of containing a 30,000 imperial gallons reservoir at a height of 200 metres that was used to provide hydraulic power to power the machinery of the Grimsby docks. It was completed in 1852. Just down the road from the dock tower is the Grimsby Cycle Hub. Located at the town's train station, the company's principal aim is to get as many people as possible choosing cycling as their first mode of transport. Janine Walker is the scheme's driving force. Janine, what a fantastic hub.
Thank you very much.
And the aim of the game here is to get everybody on wheels, no doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. We'd like to see much more of a cycling community, keeping the traffic off the roads, keeping people healthy, physically and mentally. Yeah, cycling's just great.
Tell me about the Grimsby Cycle Hub, its background and its history. How did it come about?
Well, I was running a mobile cycle hire business where I delivered hire bikes all over Lincolnshire. I heard that the council were wanting a hub, but they didn't want to run it, and it would have been great for me to have a base for the bike hire. So I contacted them, and they agreed to provide the financial support to regenerate this fantastic building, which hadn't been used for 25 years.
What was the building before this, Janine?
It was the old parcels office for when the parcels used to come in by train.
Because of course we can see the train station behind us here.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So the parcels used to come in off the platform, and it gives us an entrance on the platform as well as an entrance into town.
So no parcels coming in now?
No parcels.
Lots of bikes?
Yes.
So as well as providing a cycle hub where people can ensure that their bike is safe and secure, you also provide a repair and maintenance service?
Well, we've got professional mechanics, but we keep the prices as low as possible so that everybody can keep the bikes on the road. You just bring your bike in, and we do generally get the repairs done the same day as well, so you're not without a bike for a week or two, which you can be with some other bike shops.
Yeah, because obviously cycling and having a bike, it's important to a cyclist that can probably be without a bike for less than a day.
And we also have that unique take, because we have a hire fleet of bikes.
Right.
If we do need to keep your bike for more than a day, then we give you a courtesy hire bike so you're still on the road.
Okay.
We do keep a lot of information about what's going on in the cycling world, any events that are going on, or any special offers that are going on. There are a few local groups, so we keep all their information and point people in the right direction.
Adam, I'm still at the Grimsby Cycle Hub, so I thought I'd take advantage of your expert skills as a senior mechanic here.
Yeah, before each ride, what you want to be doing is starting down on the front wheel.
Right.
You know, check that your quick release down here, nice and tight.
Okay.
So yours at the minute was pretty loose.
Right.
So we'll nip that up for you now. Travelling up the fork, and get to the front brake. I'm going to give that a few pulls. Make sure both brakes are pulling Same amount.
Okay.
Up onto the headset, usually would be down on the floor.
Yeah.
To pull the front brake, just give the bike a wobble, front to back, just make sure everything's tight down here. Down from the stem, to follow it down to the bottom bracket and the crankset. Here would check, see if it's moving side to side, give it a good wiggle, make sure nothing's loose. Same with the pedals, give them a good shake up and down, side to side. Yours feels all nice and tight at the moment.
So good to ride.
Yeah, safe to ride.
Safe to ride.
It would come up to the seat, you check your seat belts tight, make sure it's not slipping back and forth and it's at the correct height for you to be riding. And we'd follow it down to the back end, onto the cassette where we've already said we've seen a little bit of wear and tear down.
Because obviously posture would be important as well, wouldn't it, to make sure your posture is
having
comfortable
the bike
and stable
fit
as
for
you're
your
riding
position
on the bike. 5 miles away from the Grimsby Cycle Hub lies Waltham Windmill in the village of Waltham. The 6-storied tower windmill was built in 1878 by John Saunderson of Louth. It was worked by wind until 1962, then operated for a while by electric engine, which produced animal feed. In December 1966, the Waltham Windmill Preservation Society was formed and began the task of restoring the mill. Dr. Pip Carter has been a part of the society for a number of years. Dr. Carter, thank you very much indeed for inviting me to your beautiful windmill today. What's its history?
The history, this mill was one of the last to be built in the country, let alone the county. It was built in 1880. It was really, as I said, one of the last, or if not the last, one of the last tower mills, a giant, and in windmill technology, quite modern.
And this windmill here is a very grand building. Does it still produce flour?
Indeed, oh yes. We've been milling since 1982. Before then, the sales were taken off because they were in a bad state of repair, and slowly the Preservation Society restored the mill, and our first pair of sales were put on in '82, and since then we've been milling. We've been milling local wheat to produce flour.
Because I've noticed that it's not just a windmill. What's on this site? We have a cafe and sweet shop.
Oh, we do. There are a lot of other outlets on the site. There's the railway carriage, which is a snack bar. There's also a sweet shop here, which is very popular, and numerous other outlets. We have a metal worker who produces pencils and that sort of thing. We have a model railway society which gives rides for the adults and the children. That's nice.
I'm going to go take a look inside and maybe pop upstairs if that's okay.
Please do. Yes, please do.
I'm heading off on my bike again now, back to Grimsby to meet a cycling group. The NAL Lindsay Go Ride is the young rider section of Lindsay Road Cycling Club and aims to develop cyclists from 5 to 16 years. Go Ride meets on the 2nd and 4th Saturdays of each month. David Evans is one of the club's key members, running a group encouraging the young to take to the wheel. David, thank you for inviting me to your beautiful property today to talk about NAL Lindsay Go Ride, which is a fairly new club, I believe.
That's right. It's been incorporated with British Cycling for just over a year, and we actually started the idea in March 2014.
Okay.
And what we did, the senior club, Lindsay Road Cycling Club, which is one of the longest established in the area, 45 years old now. And in the early days, they had a lot of young riders. But as with most clubs, that sort of fell off in the 90s. But partially thanks to the Olympics and Wiggins winning the Tour de France, there was an upsurge in interest. And so we wanted to see if there was any interest locally to start a junior club. So we hired the local athletics stadium for 5 Saturday mornings in March 2014, so 5 Saturdays in March. Did a little bit of promotion, and a couple of dozen riders and their grown-ups appeared. About 3 weeks into the 3rd Saturday, some of the grown-ups were saying, OK, well, what happens after the end of March? and then we knew that there was interest.
A keen interest.
Oh, absolutely, yes, yeah. And one of the great things, even at that early stage, was we had terrific support from the club members.
Great.
But also the grown-ups were saying, well, what can we do to help?
Yeah.
And it's so important to have their support, and therefore it gave us the opportunity to formulate this Go Ride Club.
And I suppose it's a good thing that you're encouraging youngsters to take to the wheel at such a young age, and hopefully they'll carry that on into their adult life.
Well, that's the hope. That's certainly the hope of the council, and it's certainly our hope as well. One of the words we hear a lot from grown-ups is confidence. How much confidence their young ones have got, not just about riding a bike, but also in their social skills, being able to communicate with people. For example, last weekend was the National Championships in Lincoln.
Right.
And some of our riders went with their grown-ups on the Sunday to watch the racing. And we've got a fantastic photograph of two of our youngsters with Olympic champion Joanna Rousel, just taking a photograph. Right. And that's one of the fantastic things about professional cycling, is that it's so accessible. Yeah. You can talk to the professionals,
and anyone can do it.
And anybody can do cycling.
Yes.
Yeah, provided they can balance on a bike.
Yes.
They can do cycling, and it doesn't after all be racing. No. You can just tootle along, and all stages in between. It is wonderful.
At your own leisure.
At your own leisure. Yeah.
Time for me to head off to the coast to Cleethorpes now. So join me in part 2, where I'll be making sure I'm on time, pulling a pint in England's smallest pub, and letting off some steam aboard a locomotive.
On Your Bike, in association with Safer Roads Humber, taking road safety seriously.
On Your Bike, in association with Safer Roads Humber, taking road safety seriously.
Cleethorpes, a population of around 40,000, referred to by locals affectionately as Meggies. It is physically linked to and forms a combination with the adjoining town of Grimsby. It's a thriving seaside resort, but actually sits on the Humber estuary. The sea at Cleethorpes is in fact the mouth of the Humber. The name is said to have come from joining the words Clee, an old word for clay, and Thorpes, an Old English, Old Norse word for villages. It's home to a famous statue too. The boy with the leaking boot has been in the town since 1918, when it was donated by shipping magnate John Calban. He was a Swedish immigrant living in Cleethorpes. But what is the statue supposed to represent? Well, its origins remain obscure. One theory is that it depicts a young Italian newspaper seller who drowned, or an American Army drummer boy who carried water in his leaking boot to help fallen comrades. I don't need your reasons to complain about my day. I don't need your... The Greenwich Meridian line runs through Cleethorpes as it travels round the globe from north to south. A metal plate has been set into the coastal path to mark the exact location. As way back as 1884, 0 degrees longitude was established as international agreement as the Greenwich Meridian, and the world's prime meridian for measuring longitude and for establishing a standard time reckoning throughout the world. A signpost reveals some interesting distance in miles. From here, you're exactly 2,517 miles away from the North Pole, or 10,483 miles away from Sydney, or 143 miles from London. That would certainly be a lot of cycling. But I think I can just about manage the odd mile or so now to one of Cleethorpes' hidden gems. At just 64 square feet, the Signal Box Inn contends to be the smallest pub on the planet. Indeed, it can only serve 6 customers at a time. The building was originally a signal box in Scunthorpe, but moved to its current location in 2002 and opened as a pub in 2006. It's a popular tourist attraction, welcoming visitors from around the world. Alan, the Signal Box Inn, the smallest pub on the planet, no less.
Certainly is. Yeah, we do guided tours if you're in early enough. If not, we'll try and get you in for tomorrow. Like, we're 8 foot by 8 foot, or if you want it in this strange thing, 2.4 metres by 2.4 metres. Like, we have everything that people want, like alcohol-wise, and we do occasionally cater for the non-alcoholics.
So soft drinks for cyclists if they're passing by to visit. How do we know this pub then is the smallest pub on the planet? Do Woodless claim the title?
Well, there was one in America that had the title of the smallest pub on the planet, and their representative, their legal representative, sent a letter over here threatening litigation.
Right.
If we didn't withdraw that, cutting lots out of it. Both places were measured for the floor area. This one was 64 square feet, theirs was over 100 square feet. So you can see there's a bit of a difference.
Yes, of course.
Like, they then said we'd got a beer garden, but we also found out from people who've been over there, they'd got a beer garden that was even larger than ours. They dropped any claims. We've had visits from endless amount of people who have been to the smallest pubs in England, and as soon as they come into the doorway, they just say, it's not the smallest, the one we've been to, this is. And the one in Bury St Edmunds that has a sign outside, their staff came up 2 years ago and they just couldn't believe it.
Right.
And one of them got on the phone to whoever was behind the bar and he says, that sign is incorrect, I'm in the smallest pub.
Because it's very snug and very cosy in here. 6 customers, I believe it fits.
Comfortable, 4 sitting, 1 propping the bar up at the side drinking and 1 being served. But regular when it's very cold, we get like 13 plus a dog. There always seems to be a dog when it's cold.
The building itself, what's the history behind that?
Well, the building was not here originally. It fits in extremely well. It actually comes from Scunthorpe, the iron ore mines.
Right.
And one of them is called Santon. And once they'd finished removing iron ore, removed all the rails, etc., and it left a little box. We have links with the preservation group at the steelworks who have a steam engine there, and they came along and said, we've got a signal box for you. I've worked for British Steel and everything is big, so I said, hang on a minute, we'll have a look at it. Had a look at it, brilliant.
Yeah.
They scaffolded it all up, picked it up, put it on a lorry, transported it here and sited it here.
Fantastic.
Absolutely fantastic, and it's over 100 years old. It is a genuine Victorian signal box. We've just had our cider festival and folk festival. Had 20 different folk acts on down here.
Sounds like it was a great weekend.
Oh yes, we had 150 different ciders and there was like 30 different real ales.
Yeah.
So you can appreciate that's a
Fantastic.
lot of liquid that's disappearing.
Tell me one fantastic thing about Cleethorpes apart from this wonderful establishment, Alan.
There's no effort to do anything. Whatever you want to do, it's achievable without a lot of effort.
And one fantastic thing about cycling, last but not least.
You can find places that you wouldn't actually see under normal circumstances, and again, you don't need a £3,000, £5,000, £6,000 bike to get you up endless hills, because it's virtually flat.
Absolutely.
But within 10 minutes you can be out on the hills of the Wolds, where there's some lovely cycling routes over there.
The Signal Box Inn is on the site of the Cleethorpes Coast Light Railway. This is a fantastic way to see the resort of Cleethorpes, as steam locomotives on the 15-inch gauge track guide visitors on a 2-mile journey along the seafront, stopping at 3 stations. John, the Cleethorpes Coast Light Railway, a popular tourist attraction. Tell me about its history.
Well, the railway was first built in 1948, so a long time ago, but when it was built back then, it was built as a much smaller gauge, and a gauge of 10 1/4. Today we're riding on the railway at the gauge of 15 inches, and the reason for the expansion in gauge is to allow for a greater number of passengers to travel on the railway, and longer carriages, bigger carriages,
I believe, John, you're a bit of a rail enthusiast yourself. Is that one of the reasons, naturally, why you took over this attraction?
I most certainly am. I'm what most people would call a puffer nutter.
Elaborate. Explain, please, John. Explain.
Well, to the non-railway enthusiasts, they like to call folk puffer nutters, or railway buffs, or you name it, there's a word for it. Myself and my business partner, Peter,
you run the railway together, do you?
We certainly do. And we met 4 years ago, and we created another railway company, but on an engineering point of view. So we could come in and help folk out we needed what we're doing on operating railways. But my interest came from my line up in Arbroath, where I come from. My father sadly died when I was 10 years old, so I was quite young, but had to grow up very quickly. And really, my love of railways was also supported by my love of business. I studied business and really wanted to pursue a career in, putting the two together. Railways.
So you married the two loves as a combined force.
So the railway was for sale, and it had been since 2010, but for only those who knew. Myself and Peter completed the purchase last year, and here we are today.
How's business going so far, John, in your second year now?
Well, as long as the sun's shining, there's people coming out.
A glorious morning.
Wonderful today.
Beautiful day to be travelling on the Cleethorpes Coastline Railway. John, tell me one fantastic thing about Cleethorpes.
One fantastic thing about Cleethorpes? Well, do you know what I love about Cleethorpes is that the fact that you travel along the M180 for it almost feels like hundreds of miles, and you come to the end of it, and the views of the Humber Estuary are quite spectacular. It's something to look forward to that a lot of folk do not appreciate. That the likes of myself up in Scotland, the views are everywhere. But if you're in in the middle of the country in Sheffield and Rotherham, this is a delight for anyone visiting. So that's why I like it, and I love to see people's faces when they come to visit.
Beaming with pride.
Absolutely.
The clock ticks slowly faster and we'll ever know joyful or lonely one way all of this will go. People in buttoned coats, they walk alone down these streets, they don't miss a beat. The clock ticks slowly faster and we'll ever know joyful or lonely one way all of this will go. People in buttoned coats, they walk alone down these streets.
As always, if you've been inspired to get on your bike but want some tips and advice for riding in the countryside, download the free mobile app Cycle Yorkshire Ride the Routes. You can also visit our website estuary.tv/onyourbike for more details. Join me next time as I make my journey to the East Coast, Bridlington and Scarborough, where I'll be attempting to make some rock, on patrol with some puffins and learning about a literary icon. That's all from the shores of Cleethorpes. Until next time, goodbye.
On Your Bike, in association with Safer Roads Humber, taking cycle safety seriously.